Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or simply good day from whatever time zone you're attending this webinar. On behalf of the ChartWorld team, I warmly welcome you to this webinar. My name is Brugger, and I'm working as a navigation consultant at the ChartWorld Group. Today is the third of a series of 3 webinars with the topic How ChartWorld products support the SIRE 2.0 compliance. In the previous sessions, I presented the ChartWorld Actis eCloak G2. This was 4 weeks back, and how it helps the navigator to comply with the requirement as per SIRE 2.0. And in the last session, 2 weeks back, I presented our product family CIO Plus, which is the ChartWorld information overlay. That's the manual user charts to compensate for shortcomings in ENCs, such as entering TNP notices by using our servers rather than doing this manually. And if a desired safety contour would not be available on an NC, then we're using algorithm to create a no-go line and so on and so forth. And as such, those products, again, helping the navigator to comply with the requirements of SIRE 2.0. Today's topic will be to present the ChartWorld's NavCloud concept as a whole, and particularly then MyRA and MyFleet, and how, again, this helps to be in compliance with the SIRE 2.0. In the introduction last time, I said already that the following slides are text heavy. And they are text heavy because the SIRE 2.0 question library is text heavy, since it consists of more than 1,200 pages of text. It contains, among others, the top-level questions, abbreviated question text, the guided sections, including the objective, the best mentioned practices, not only as a manual reference, but as text sections. Same applies to the most applicable ISM and also the Teams A references and so on and so forth. The question library from the OCIMF contains also the suggested inspector actions, expected evidence, potential groundings for negative observations, and so on and so forth. As already said during the previous webinars, I tried to minimize the number of words per slides using square brackets with 3 dots in between whenever possible, without changing the meaning of the sentence. In the following of the webinar, I will always show first the VIQ number and the question, and will then display the manual reference, followed then by the ChartWorld solution to comply with the SIRE 2.0 requirements. Thereafter, we will have a short question-answer section, time permitting. Webinar will take roughly 30 minutes. Any question which would remain unanswered, I invite you to drop me a short email and I will refer it accordingly. My email address will be displayed on the last slide. Before we start with the SIRE VIQ questions, let me give you a very short introduction of our NavCloud concept in general, and then shortly about MyRA and MyFleet in order to make sure that any attendee of this webinar has a rough idea about those 2 tools, means we are all then on the same page. So this is the NavCloud summary. What is the concept behind? Well, we're aiming to increase the safety of navigation. How do we do that? We're using algorithm for works with a big workload. For instance, filling out a voyage plan template, pages and pages and pages, doing this manually. We do not. We use algorithms for that, and we're offering a complete filled out voyage plan, so we're saving time. So we're reducing the administrative workload for the navigator and offering him to invest this saved time in doing the more important jobs. The more important work means the safety checks in the actors. The workload is not only getting bigger for the crews, but also for the office staff. So again, we are also trying to reduce the workload for the office by using algorithm and monitoring tools with notification functions to reduce the workload. Also, the NavCloud offers to bring all stakeholders, let's say, on the same page by connected actors. So we're exchanging the data from ship to shore, from shore to ship. And from a navigational point of view, ship and shore has the same information available then. The NavCloud consists of several components, and I switch on my laser pointer. We have here the connected actors. If you don't have a connected actors, you can use an offline actors as well. One of the components is also the ChartWorld information overlay. We had this 2 weeks back. Emergency navigation system, we talked already when we talked about the eCloud features. We have the so-called latest edition onboard managed services. This is the technical library we taking care on board ship. And today, as I said, we have MyRA and MyFleet as the last 2 components. Short summary of MyRA, what is it about? MyRA stands for MyRoute Appraisal. It's a digital routing service, and it provides the vessel and onshore personnel with a proposed actors-ready voyage plan. This plan is based on a route network, on port databases, bathymetry from ENCs, weather forecasts, and also the relevant ship model. We have ship-specific safety contours and automatically calculated safety corridors, the so-called XTDs. Those are factored into the route calculation and automatic route check. Additionally, the voyage plan includes information about ENC data quality, CATSOC, we know this term, minimum chart depth, ECA and MAR pull zones on the voyage. So in general, the purpose is to provide information for voyage risk assessment. The voyage plan document as such automatically includes all navigational route information. So voyage data, routing criteria, waypoints, ENC, ADP, and ENP information for the intended voyage, TNP notice, nav area warnings, and force. Information is provided without placing an order for digital data separately. The voyage plan document is provided in a printable PDF, but also in an editable Excel spreadsheet with a pre-checked route in a RTZ format, which is the S100 route exchange format, export ready for any actors. In case of need, in case you have subscribed, CRO Plus, also those data will be delivered via MyRA. In general, weather optimized and all fuel optimized route planning can also be included for the option either fastest or most economic route. So that's a very short, the MyRA tool. And if we go to MyFleet, that's the office tool. MyFleet is a web application and it can be used by any web browser. So you can use it either in your office or in your while being home, in home office, or while being traveling. The main purpose of MyFleet is to check the fleet performance. And this, for instance, in terms of compliance with navigation, with the company's navigation policy. So, I mean, the tool enables the shoreside to initiate a remote navigational audit, but also to check for the vessel's itinerary or to perform the due diligence on the voyage plan. Performing due diligence on the voyage plan, there is this famous case about CMA, CG, and Libra. So this tool would enable you to comply in order to avoid such an incident. It also provides insights of the safety-related environment. It takes into account navigational data, the current route, weather, and also the digital data used on board. In the monitoring function, which is provided, we can overlay a variety of information on the electronic chart in the web environment, the so-called web map services. So using MyFleet, you can select and filter information that you would like to see. And this is in addition to configuring a monitored fleet by selecting vessels that are to be monitored. So far, so good. And very short, those 2 tools. And if we start now with the SIRE question library, we are in chapter 4 of navigation and communication under 4.2 navigational procedures. And the question of 4.2.1 is asking, were the master navigation officers familiar with the company passage planning procedures and had all voyages been appraised, planned, executed, and monitored in accordance with company procedures, industry best management practice, and both local and international rules? And we will have that question for some more slides. Firstly, it refers then to the OCIMF Best Management Practice publication named A Guide to Best Practice for Navigational Assessments and Audits. Under 4.2.2, we find berth-to-berth passage plan, and it says the IMO Assembly Resolution Alpha 893 in brackets 21 guidelines for voyage planning includes detailed planning of the whole voyage from berth to berth. What is the ChartWorld solution for that? Uniquely in the market, we see that the MyRA's automated voyage planning tool is offering a voyage plan berth to berth, and it is using the ports and terminals in our route network. We have actually 4 master mariners working in the route network in terms of constantly improve and update the database. Nearly each month, a new edition of the route network is available, and this has then the latest ports and terminals added, the waypoints fine-tuned, buyer points reviewed, and so on and so forth. You see that we provide berth-to-berth voyage plan. But what if the port of departure, the port of destination, or the corresponding terminals would not be available in our database? Well, then you tick the departure port or the arrival port berthing position in here, then in lat and long. Our artificial intelligence supported algorithm will find then the position of the terminal from lat long to the next waypoint of our route network. And this will be done in a safe manner. Hence, as I said, the algorithm is artificial intelligent, and we are entering in MyRA vessel-specific safety contour values. Right. This was about the berth-to-berth passage planning. We are still with the 421. The same question. It refers further under the section to the OCIMF publication recommendation of use of actors in preventing incidents under 4.3, the route validation. And the route validation involves the following stages, among others, manual and auto validation features. ChartWorld's solution for that is we do even in MyRA a route breed check. How can we do a breed check? Well, uniquely in the market, our system is using up-to-date ENCs and active software, so exactly the same data as is being used on board ship. So we're doing breed checks already. And if we find that the minimum charted depth, as given in this example here, is shallower than the desired safety contour value, we will get a warning, a non-conformity. This abbreviation stands for depth area, and we're asking the navigator to check for that voyage leg. Hence, the initial route check is saying there is something not in compliance what you want. We're talking about depth areas. So this minimum depth area could be a value from, the depth area could be from 8 to 20 meters, for instance. So we're asking now the navigator to check with your finger to validate on the ENC if or not he finds sufficiently enough spot soundings that reveals that the water depth is still sufficient and entering the minimum spotted depth up here, which will change then this red colored alarming into green again. So this means we have an additional safety layer here. We use the algorithm in the first instance to check for that and then asking the human being to verify. Right, we're going next. We are still with the 421, and it comes now to the OCIMF application recommendation use of actors in preventing incidents. Means it is the same best management practice as we had before. Under 442, position verification and monitoring, it is said the vessel's position can be verified using, among others, visual or radar bearings, radar range, and bearings. The ChartWorld solution is again the MyRA's automated voyage plan. And we see in this automated voyage plan section where we offer to enter then position verifications, which means the primary method commonly on an actors is a GPS. And this needs to be checked against satellite, independently from satellite derivated positions. This is how we do that, and can be done by entering, by specifying this in your SMS for the interval. This has to be done for the different voyage segments. If we go next, then we are still with the question 421, and we come into the ICS, the Bridge Procedure Guide. It says under 2.1, Principles of Passage Planning. The purpose of passage planning is to develop a comprehensive navigation plan for the safe conduct of the ship from berth to berth. The plan for the intended passage should identify a route which complies with all the applicable environmental protection measures. The ChartWorld's solution, together with our business partners EMH, is to deliver an environmental voyage overview. This environmental voyage overview is being delivered again via MyRA. The waypoints, as well as the schedule, as well as the positions, are taken out from MyRA's voyage plan, and added now by EMH is which MARPOL operations are being allowed for the waypoints as displayed here are permitted or prohibited. This makes sure that it is very easy for crew to comply with that requirement. And this is now from a voyage plan document perspective. 2 weeks back, we had demonstrated the CO plus layer environmental, which would be the tool to show those boundaries directly on the ENC. Going next, and we are still with the 421, where the Master Navigation Officer is familiar with the company passage planning procedures and had all voyages been appraised, planned, executed, and monitored in accordance company procedures, industry best management practice, and both local and international rules. We come now to the inspection guidance. And it says the format of the passage plan should include changes in security arrangements. And again, the automated voyage plan is set up in a way that we're complying with that. We have the security information here, and for each single voyage leg, you may then enter the appropriate measures you take. My recommendation is always, if you have MARSEC level 1, I don't think there is a need to enter something because nothing has to be considered from a security point of view. So I would recommend that you write in your SMS, if vessel is in MARPO in MARSEC level 1 area, this field does not require any entries, any records. If you go to MARSEC level 2, MARSEC level 3, I think it is worth to enter here then the appropriate vessel hardening measures, for instance. I had a discussion with a customer last week, and he had a flag state inspection, annual flag state inspection under the Liberian flag. And the flag state inspector was exactly asking about this security information in the passage plan. Since it was not in there, this was not a passage plan provided by us. Since it was not there, the vessel received a non-conformity for that. So we see also here, I think what we discussed already, what I'm getting not tired to discuss with customers. The OCIMF best management practice is in the first instance mandatory for tankers. The day thereafter, it will get mandatory for bulk carriers because RightShip is picking that up. And then another day after, it will become mandatory for every vessel because then apparently PC Flagstat is picking up this again. So, it's never too late to implement whatever OCIMF is giving you as best management practice. We go further and we come now to 4.2 with the navigational procedures. We are still in there, but the question 421 is gone. We are now with the question 422 asking were the master navigation officers familiar with the company UKC policy and procedure, and were records available to demonstrate that the required calculations had been calculated and the vessel had remained in compliance with the UKC policy. The OCIMF publication recommendation uses of actors and preventive incidents says under 425 identification of safe water, masters and navigation officials should have a clear understanding of CATSA and how it affects the ENC data. The CATSA input used should be identified within the plan. Again, we come to MyRA's automated voyage plan, and we see here again, we have this minimum depth area. We have the CATSA value, and correspondingly to that, we have the occurrency, which results then into the calculated water depth. Easy to see, we consider here in the voyage plan the vertical CATSA value, but not the horizontal CATSOC value. Why do we not consider the horizontal CATSOC value? Easy answer, because in the eCloak G2, and I demonstrated that 4 weeks back, in the eCloak G2, you have the option to use CATSOC when you do the root check. And ticking then the use CATSOC means to your root check, the CATSOC value will be automatically considered in checking the root, which means, for instance, if you have a CATSOC Charlie, then the horizontal accuracy would be 500 meters. And if you have an XTD from 2000 meters to starboard side, our system, our eCloak, will check for 2500 meters to starboard side, since we know we take this accuracy into consideration. Right. Summarizing, vertical CATSOC consideration in the voyage plan, horizontal on the actors itself. Go next to 3.2. We are with the crew evaluation. 3.2.4 is asking, was a report available on board which confirmed that an unannounced remote navigation assessment, which included review of VDI and actors data, had been completed. The OCIMF publication, a guide to best practice of navigation assessments and audits, says under 5.2 remote navigation assessments, companies may consider using voyage data recorders to conduct remote assessments of navigational practices. This might be supplemented by downloading data from actors and other electronic navigation aids. The ChartWorld solution is to have an eCloak Connect with the MyFleet. You have a button like this on your MyFleet application, which stands for the actors replay file. We name this Incident Investigation module. And this module enables you to retrieve a recorded daily file from the onboard actors G2 Connect actors system. This means you see here these green dots. This means the replay file is being available. You click on download file, and you may download then the file instantly. You can also activate a full-scale replay function in your Fleet Operations Center using a local Office eCloak G2 actors installation. The replay files as such contain the vessel movement, the monitored route, and AIS and APA targets in the vicinity. So this means the feature enables you to very precisely and accurately investigate for the vessel's movement for the selected date. Further, the eCloak Connect with the MyFleet offers the voyage data. You see here the plant safety and the MyRA minimum safety. So that's the planning section here. And this enables you to get a full picture on the MyRA ship voyage planning settings and on the execution of the voyage, which is up here, for an eCloak Connect. So the actors check route here shows safety-related settings used on board during the check route procedures for the actors monitored route. And this actors monitoring here shows safety-related settings used on board during the execution of the voyage on the currently active voyage. So again, this is something which I trust will help very much in doing a remote navigational assessment, a remote navigational audit, which shows you very easy, on the one hand, what was the planning, how was the planning done, and then what was the execution, and were there potentially some discrepancies between those. Very self-explaining, very, very useful tool. We go then to the next one, presuming you don't have an eCloak Connect, don't have a connected actors. Also then the MyRA, the MyFleet application will enable you to download very easily any data which has sent on board ship via the MyRA system. And you see here, you may download very easily the voyage plan in PDF. You may download the RTZ file. As already said, that's a root exchange file, SPS 100 standard. So you may upload this into your Office Actors. You have exactly the same root as on board ship on the Actors. You may download the TP-NAV area warnings, and you may download the environmental compliance voyage plan like this. Right, so even if you don't have a connected Actors, you have options to review the navigation performance of the ship and also to do the due diligence for the voyage plan. One more feature, we are polling the vessel. And as you can see, we have here the actual position of the vessel. Those yellow symbols are the past positions. And here's the so-called modified route. So that is the route which is being approved by the captain. In order to check if or not the voyage plan was, the vessel was in compliance with its own voyage plan, means followed its own voyage plans, you simply check if or not the vessel remained in an XTD. And we don't talk about co-reg maneuvers or altering course because there is a big number of fishing vessels ahead of you. We're talking about the general idea. If you do a planning, you should follow your planning. But as I said in the very beginning, we also trying to reduce the workload for the office staff. So we have actually an email alert notification available in case the vessel would deviate from its own route. And you see this up here. There is a notification distance for off-track detection. The minimum value you may decide to go for is half a mile. The maximum would be 100 miles. And you use the slider bar as appropriate in order to set up this alarm. So this enables you to receive email notifications for the assigned contact list and for specific email addresses. This is working for a customized fleet or for all vessels under one MyFleet account. You may even use a push notification for your browser to get them those notifications in your browser and use. Right. This was so far for the MyRA and MyFleet, those both tools working together. And as I said, enabling you to make a remote navigation assessment, review and voyage plans to have the same picture in the office as aboard ship. We're going then next to the 7.5 from the SIRE 2.0 question library. We are in chapter 7, which is maritime security. 7.5 cybersecurity. 7.5.1 is asking whether master and officers familiar with the company procedures for cybersecurity risk management, and have these procedures been fully implemented. The inspection guidance is saying the vessel operator should have developed procedures for cyber risk management that identify the IT and OT systems at risk on board, such as bridge systems. Physical access to sensitive user equipment, such as exposed USB ports on bridge systems and Wi-Fi hub ports, should be secured or disabled. ChartWorld's solution for that is the IEC 61164-460 Cyber Secure Gateway. We named that that's the so-called eChart Secure. And well, that's a solution to mitigate the cybersecurity risk on board when navigating with active and digital data. It simply provides a connection from the Actors network to other secured or unsecured networks on board with this gateway, which is type approved. The functionalities include a one-click chart updating via a secured network, protected USB port to safeguard Actors cybersecurity, two-way data transfer means ship to shore, shore to ship, and online troubleshooting via Actors diagnostic files. So we are using the Actors, or we're using the system to update the Actors by clicking simply on the Actors update from server. And the data from the server will be downloaded directly to the Actors. But what if the communication is not working properly? Then we still have USB ports which can be used. But the USB ports on the Actors as such are being disabled. The USB ports on the eChart Secure are still ready for use. This makes sure that if you plug in a USB stick into this USB port on the eChart Secure, it will be screened first for malware. It will make sure that the data which are on the USB stick are really data from a ChartWorld. So there is a redundancy. We're not only using the connected actors via the direct communication link, but also in case of need, we still have the option to use USB sticks. Right. So far, so good. Time is already over. We have 30 minutes. My colleagues, again, were so kind to pick up some questions. I take 2 or 3. And as I said, any other questions in the next slide, there will be my email address. Please address those to me. First question is the NavCloud concept working also with non-ChartWorld actors? Yes, it is, of course, in a way that you can still have the benefits from this work around MyRA and MyFleet. Options like reviewing the actors safety check features, as I presented in the other slide, would not be possible. In general, yes, there's no problem to use NavCloud for non-ChartWorld actors. There is another question: how often receives MyFleet the vessel positions? Yeah, we are using PACE for this entire system, pay as you sail, and certainly you're all aware of that. We are polling the vessel each 15 minutes and have a position then in the MyFleet application. Works eChart Secure Gateway also with non-ChartWorld actors? That's another question which just popped up. No, it does not. The eChart Secure is working only with the eCloud G2, but for other actor systems, we have FMD gateways, we name those, or we have chart boxes where we can link the actors or can bring the actors online. For more information, please, don't hesitate to ask, but very roughly, that's the answer. Right, we are already over time. Many thanks for your attendance, and I hope that you find the content of the webinars interesting. The recordings we will make available on our platforms. In case you need a download link to get a video, please let me know. The email address you find here, and I will be happy to provide any of those. Wishing you all the best. Looking forward to see many of you personally soon again, rather than only via e-meetings. Well, stay safe and healthy. Goodbye and have a good day.